Hard Rock readies itself for a reunion that never really cooled off. Miami knows the Chargers. The Chargers know Miami. The last two chapters unfolded in Los Angeles, one win each. One reminder that nothing about this matchup is routine. The tape still smolders from 2023. Tua Tagovailoa slicing for 466 and 3 scores, throwing with rhythm that emptied a stadium. The memory from 2022 lingers too. Justin Herbert firing 51 times, piling yards, daring the Dolphins to match every throw. The calendar flipped, the city changed, but the tension stayed. Why pretend otherwise? These two have history, and they treat it like fuel. The quarterbacks sit at the heart of everything again. 5th and 6th in that 2020 draft, side by side on paper and forever compared in real time. You can dress it up or shrug it away, but when they share a field, eyes drift to every drawback, every decision. The fourth meeting arrives with pressure that doesn't need a narrator. Miami at 1-4, still feisty on third downs, still chasing a clean Sunday. The Chargers stuck on a 2-game slide, searching for footing in a division that never grants any favors. Who blinks first? Who holds their nerve? Mike McDaniel's respect for Herbert never sounded empty. He pointed to the arm, the legs, the constant threat that refuses to sit still. He called him a competitor who keeps sharpening his edges. A player you don't shut down so much as contain. That's the job. Minimize his production. Live with the throws that only he can make, and win all the tiny moments around them. Sounds manageable until the pocket holds for a heartbeat longer and a crosser turns into a marathon. Sounds simple until a window that looked closed isn't. Third downs carry the subtext. Both offenses land among the league's best there, and that matters. The Dolphins are converting at 46.7%, second in the league. The Chargers are at 46.4%, fourth. You feel that on a drive that should end but doesn't, on a defense that thinks it earned a breather only to stay out for another set. Those numbers were built through turbulence, too. Miami's right side battling injuries early. Los Angeles juggling linemen almost weekly. Sustaining in chaos tells you something about quarterbacks, about timing, about play designers who keep finding the right button. The Chargers' line is thin enough to see through. Rashawn Slater to injured reserve in August. Joe Alt missed Week 5 with a high ankle and is out for Miami. Trey Pipkins exited last week and won't go Sunday. Right guard Mekhi Becton left and didn't return. That much shuffling tests every protection rule. Snap counts turn into auditions. Assignments become a moving target. When that happens, pass rushers stop guessing and start dictating. So, which version of Miami's front shows up? The one that squeezes the edge, or the one that arrives a breath late and pays for it? And it's not just the front five. The Chargers are down their top 2 backs, Amarian Hampton and Najee Harris, both on injured reserve. That changes how they call a series. That changes what they sell with motion, how they fake, and how committed they can be to grinding the clock. It also raises the stakes for Herbert's arm. Fewer safety blankets, more responsibility, more chances for Miami to nudge tendencies off script. Do the Dolphins trust their nickel to tackle in space? Do they heat up Herbert and live with the occasional big play? The dial will move. Miami needs a clean answer against the run after Charlotte stung them for 239 and turned first contact into second chances. That 27-24 loss to Carolina left a mark. Missed fits, angles that weren't right, tackles that never finished. A week like that forces a review you'd rather skip, but there's no shortcut. The Chargers don't need a star at running back to punish open gaps. They just need discipline on their terms. An extra yard becomes a second and manageable, and second and manageable opens the entire menu. Will Miami punch early downs back into their favor? The challenge sharpens because the Chargers have plenty to throw. Keenan Allen keeps building routes like he's laying brick. Ladd McConkey wrecks pursuit angles with a single cut. Quentin Johnston brings that vertical threat that makes safeties hesitate for a beat. Those three have every touchdown through the air and most of the yards. The ball doesn't have to go everywhere when the primary options are humming. Anthony Weaver didn't hide his respect. He called their skill dynamic, singled out McConkey's change of direction and range, and warned about Johnston tearing the top off. You want a test? Here it is. Corners must compete. Safeties must trust their eyes without guessing. Across the line, Miami faces a Chargers defense that sits 7th in yardage allowed and 6th in scoring defense. That combination doesn't happen by accident. They rally. They hold in the red zone. They win on first down and force second and long, where calls become predictable and pass rushers get to sprint with purpose. This is the kind of opponent that punishes impatience. If you're late on a read by half a beat, you're off the field. If your protection slides the wrong way, you're punting. Miami will need tempo at times, but tempo without discipline is noise. So the Dolphins roll into their first stretch without Tyreek Hill and answer with a trio of their own. Jalen Waddle has lived this scenario before, twice in the last 4 seasons. In those games, he stacked 240 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Not with bluster, but with precision. He can own a drive without announcing it. The routes build on each other. The leverage keeps tilting. His quarterback trusts him, and that's not soft compliment. It's foundation. The ball comes out early because the spot will be there. Do the Chargers double him and live with the rest? Or do they test him, snap after snap? Tua's endorsement sounded steady. Dub has been the same, he said. Attention or not, focus intact, details sharp. That matters this week, because the offense will ask Waddle to toggle between roles. Drive starter, third down lifeline, red zone answer. And while defenses tilt to him, someone else has to sting the weak spot. Darren Waller did last week, finding the seam and finishing. Devon Achane did too, showing soft hands and urgency once the ball hit air. Those touches need timing. They need a quarterback who trusts his launch point and a line that doesn't wage a constant emergency. Tagovailoa has stitched together 4 straight games with multiple touchdown passes. That run ties him with Matthew Stafford for the league's longest active streak. Not a headline built on empty stats, a rhythm built on consistency. The ball comes out, the read is honest, and the play caller stays ahead of the sticks. The Chargers will try to disrupt that routine. Muddied pockets, late rotations, press at the line to throw off the first 5 yards. If the openings hold, though, Miami can flip the flow. Early shots loosen the underneath spacing. Quick game keeps the rush honest. One drive sets up the next. Where does the game bend? Start with protection. If Miami's front steadies on the right side and communicates the inevitable third down twist, play calls open. Motion means something again. RPO looks regain their bite. With that, look for the middle of the field to matter. Waller between zones. Waddle on deep digs that ask a safety to choose. Achane out of the backfield against a linebacker who isn't comfortable turning and running. And in the red zone, simplicity helps. Timing outs. Inside slants with leverage. Pre-snap tells that turn into easy decisions. No reason to overreach if the foundation holds. Flip it around, and the test for Miami's defense is as blunt as it sounds. Collapse Herbert's internal clock. You won't erase his talent. You can make him feel the edge sooner, shorten reads, and force outlets before the route pattern finishes. That owes as much to interior push as edge heat. If guards give ground, throwing lanes shrink. If the first lane disappears, the second window isn't guaranteed. Mix in well-timed simulated pressure, threaten numbers, drop out, rush from where the back isn't looking, and you create a half-second of doubt. Half-seconds decide games with arms like his. Tackling after the catch will separate frustration from control. Allen turns 5 yards into 9 when the first wrap isn't strong. McConkey punishes a poor angle with 1 step. Johnston makes you pay if you arrive high and late. Secure the tackle, live for the next snap, and you'll earn the drive-stalling negative play you need. Miss, and everything stretches. That's where last week's lessons have to translate. Fit the run on early downs, or those quick throws become a stress test that never ends. How many snaps can a defense carry if second down keeps reading 2nd and 4? Special teams sneak into this one too. Field position feels louder when drives are efficient on both sides. A clean return past the 30 shifts play calling. A punt that flips the field makes a defense brave. No need for a miracle, just execution that refuses to offer a short field. And speaking of discipline, penalties can't invite momentum to switch jerseys. 3rd and 2 doesn't need a free first down. A stop on the edge shouldn't become a redo because someone drifted into the neutral zone. Details are thin margins, and thin margins decide these meetings more often than anyone admits. Coaching adjustments will get loud after halftime. McDaniel thrives in those 10 minutes where tendencies flip and familiar looks get new tags. Does he lean on bunch sets to force cleaner releases for Waddle? Does he pair split zone and play action to hold linebackers for Waller's routes?